What's up? I've had a couple of topics on my mind. We'll see what we can squeeze in here. Different things. And the first one I want to start with is the brand plan. The brand plan, because I've seen some people getting stuck with it. I think a lot of people have come to me and they say, the brand plan exercise has been really one of the most eye-opening exercises they've done. And I think they must have approached it in the correct way in order to come out with that conclusion. But there are still some people who are doing it wrong. I think the biggest problem I see, one of the biggest issues I see, is people taking the exercise and they're coming in. I want to figure out, what am I going to sell? What is my business going to be? So this is one of the issues. They come in trying to figure out how they're going to make money from some business idea. And so they're confused because they don't know what they're going to sell. And that is basically jumping the gun, because that is not an exercise until module number 4, figuring out what you're going to sell. Okay. In reality, what this exercise is, it's about finding out the right audience, or it's about describing the audience. In fact, we already know who the audience is. The audience is you. The audience is people like you, people that you know. Okay. So the second way that I see people doing it wrong is they start to describe an audience that they have nothing to do with. It's like a completely different audience from anything to do with them. I don't know why you would do that, because that's certainly not the way to approach it. The entire idea behind this exercise is to give you a direction in which to build your business, to build your brand. And the way to do that is to build it in a way that is comfortable, in a way that you can, if you can't comfortably do something for, day in, day out for months and months and years, it's not going to be like, you won't be able to maintain this business. Here's what I mean. A while back, I had a client and gave me a hard time because he just couldn't get out of this mode of thinking. I said to him, so who's your target audience? Who are the people that you want to sell, that you would like to sell to? And he goes to me, geezers. Now that's a problem in itself. I mean, why are you calling them geezers? That's how you put down people who are older than you, basically. That's not really a way to talk about your target market. Well, let's see. Seeing as he's been selling to them for a really long time, let's ask. Who are these guys? What do they care about? What do they know? And he could not give me nothing more than the superficial, about these people, because he wasn't from that target audience. He was like, he was 40 years old and he's trying to sell to people 70, 80 years old. And so his audience, as far as he was concerned, they're just people who buy my stuff, they're just people who buy stuff like what I'm selling. That's as far as he could tell you. He couldn't really tell you anything intimate about their problems. He couldn't empathize with them. He couldn't really speak about them in a way that he, you felt that he really cared about these people. He spoke about them as just objects. And that was a serious problem. Like, his marketing never really connected with anybody. It was just like sleazy. It was slimy. He made money. He made sales. I'm not saying that you can't make money doing this, but this is the idea behind the brand plan. It's because most of us are not, this guy had a few things working to his advantage. One of them was that he had a lot of money to throw at stuff. So, he could afford to fuck up as much as he wanted, and it wouldn't really impact too much, his business in such a way that he can't make money. But for people who are, not rolling around in extra money, who are working with very limited funds, it's pretty tough to the smallest mistake like this would really impact you. You won't be able to sell very well. So I advise that when you do this exercise, start out with that in the back of your mind. Okay, all I want to do, I don't want to describe a particular product. I don't want to think about a business idea that I have. The brand plan's purpose is simply to give you a direction. The biggest thing that you should be able to come out of it with, you're supposed to still have like a sort of a business, a kind of a plan for your business, but the biggest thing you should be able to come out of it with is a very concrete idea about who your target customer is. And it's not rocket science. You don't have to figure out your product first. You need to figure out who you are. Okay, because those are the people that you can empathize with, the ones that you're going to be able to talk about something intimate that that basically when you say it, nobody else who's not from that market is going to understand. No, anyone that's not from that market will never think to ask this question. Maybe they'll understand it when they see it. Oh yeah, that makes sense. But they're not really in a position to actually think of that thing first. But you are, because you understand it. So that's a really important thing. You go in there, describe yourself. So in the audience description, what did we call it? The bullseye target audience. In the bullseye target audience, you're trying to be a little bit broad. You don't want to. You just want to take categorical filters on people, and you want to look at yourself and ask yourself questions about where are my political leanings? What is my income category bracket? Okay, we're not talking about specific. I want to know what your income is, or you need to specify what your income is. We're talking about income bracket. Like, what would you classify it as? And it doesn't have to be a number. It can be like middle class, upper middle class, lower middle class, lower class, whatever it is. Okay, describe it how you would. How would you describe the bracket that you're in? Gender. It's super important. Gender is one of the really important things to put into your brand targets. Look at your gender, and that's the gender that you're targeting. Don't tell me everybody is your target audience. Okay, if you're a guy, you're going to write like a guy. You're going to attract primarily guys. Okay, I mean I have females in my audience, but I don't talk specifically to women in my marketing, because I know that they represent a very small minority in my audience, and I know that the women that do connect with me are connecting on different things than our gender, and they're not sitting there getting all pissy because I talked about some issue that was only relevant to men, or I acted like a dude, because they get that part. They're listening to a guy here, so they're going to see some of that stuff, and it doesn't really matter. So I'll not go he or she. I won't. You try to go there, so I avoid specifying the gender. I'm just write it straight up. I say he, his boss, his employees, his customers, his whatever. And I mean, it's not a difficult translation for a woman to make if she's in the audience and she wants to. Like I said. The bullseye target audience does not mean that you are that you're not going to connect with anybody outside it. It just means that this is going to be the primary focus. It gives you a focus. Okay, so that's going to be categorical type of information that you start with. Now, the way that I would approach these questions. So I know I wrote them as questions, and you were supposed to sort of sit down and answer each of these questions. But you don't actually have to answer questions that are not that you don't have an answer to, for one. And for two, think of them more as a way to, like, I think that it would be wise to think of them as sort of memory joggers, a way to keep your to keep giving you ideas to keep doing the exercise. Okay, so here's what I mean. Suppose you're doing the let's go down to audience needs. I've got here. Let me look at mine. Okay, so I've got a couple of brand plans in front of me. I've got mine here. I'm gonna skip down to audience needs. All right. So I've got the question, what are some of the pains these people experience? So, all right, they hate paying for traffic because their funds are low. They don't like buying products that cost a lot of money to learn something simple they need. They struggle to come up with a unique proposition for their business. They don't know how to get traffic cheaply or for free. They don't know how to make money from the traffic they generate. Their landing pages won't convert as high as the testimonials they hear from others. They feel confused by all the information and conflicting advice out in the market, and so on and so forth. And this goes on for like 3 pages. I'm answering this question. How do I keep going and giving more and more and more answers? Well, guess what? When I feel like I'm stumped, I don't know what else, I can't think of anything else. So let's go. Then I go, okay, I'm going to take one of the bullets that I just came up with over here, any of the bullets, random one. Okay, and I'm going to take one of the questions. Why are there pains? So here's a question that can be answered just further down the page. Why are their pains so bad? They're looking for an answer right now. And then I go, their affiliate marketing system pages aren't allowed to run on major traffic networks. So now I'm doing a combination between a bullet that I've already written, right, an idea that I already described, and a question that should help prompt more problems for me. Why are their pains so bad? They're looking for an answer right now, and their affiliate marketing system pages aren't allowed to run on major traffic networks. So what happened? That's the question I got to ask myself. Why are they now coming and searching for help with this particular issue? Well, chances are, for instance, they recently had their ads shut down. They had something working and their account was shut down on Google or on Facebook. They got increasingly frustrated with Facebook shutting down their ads over and over and over, and they are now looking for an answer. So that ends up, I turn that into a pain and I write that down. So say Facebook keeps shutting down their ads, it's the last straw because they just can't. They can't seem to get ahead. They can't make their Facebook ads work. Okay, I've put down now a new pain. Now, I'm still stumped for more ideas. Well, let me take that same question. Why are they looking for an answer right now? What happened in their lives to get them to look for answers right now? And I'm going to combine it with one of my other bullets that I've got here. They hate paying for traffic because their funds are low. So what happened in their lives? Well, perhaps the credit card bill came in and they've got a lot of money owing, and they can't afford to keep their ads running. Okay, perhaps their spouse. Here's another one. Their spouse took a look at the credit card bill and went crazy because they can't afford basic things, and her husband's been spending the money on this, what she considers to be a dream. Okay, let's move on. Let's move on to another question that could possibly trigger some other ideas. What implications? How does their pain affect their personal life, for instance, or how do their pains affect their family's view of them, for instance? And now you go, oh yeah, okay, now we're thinking about the credit card bill that's come in. The wife's pissed off. The wife thinks that he's crazy, that he's wasting family's money, that he's not getting he's not supporting the household. His wife thinks he's a loser. She wants him to get off his ass and go and get a job, et cetera, et cetera. And so you put all of those things into your audience needs, and this list just keeps growing and growing and growing. So you don't only need to seed it with a few things to start with, and then you can just keep going to these questions and doing combinations. And you can take those things that you put in from the combos and ask more questions about them as well. So you just keep expanding this list, and by the end of it, what you're going to find is that you've described some needs that are so intimate, only you know them. Okay, you've described needs of this audience that are so intimate that only you know what they are. And when you've done that, you've done the exercise justice. Once you've finished with audience needs, that's when you start to think about frame of reference. That's what they're looking for right now in terms of solutions to their problem. That's when you move on to finding a unique benefit. A unique benefit is basically your process, something that is going to have to one up whatever they're already looking for. So what are you going to do that's different for them? And dude, this is the other one. So many people come to, and I think it's so sad. I'm saddened when I see this. There's a lot of people who come to me and tell me, dude, Jim, I don't think I know it. I don't know anything about anything. And the best that they could come up with is to tell you that I know what not to do with such and such. I've done this and made a lot of mistakes, so I know what not to do. Yeah, I don't think anybody wants to really hear from somebody who just knows what not to do because they failed and made a lot of mistakes. They want to know something from somebody who's failed a lot of times and then finally found success. Okay, so in the end, you have to have solved the problem. Don't think that it's got to be like that. That's an angle that you know what not to do. You need to have solved the problem. But there are so many problems that you could have solved, that you have solved, that you don't even realize are a thing because you've never sat down and taken stock of the problems that you're aware of. And oh, by the way, just one more point on the audience needs, because I didn't mention it. I should say this. When you're doing the audience needs, describe problems that you experience, but also describe problems that you know your friends experience, people that you know. Okay, so maybe you don't have the problem of for instance, that your wife is on your ass about what you're doing with the business. Perhaps she's actually on board with you, but you know people whose wife is on their ass about their business. Describe that, because you've obviously figured out something here, that you have a good relationship with your wife, that you're able to practice your business and follow your dreams, and she supports you with them. Dude, that's a big deal. There might be something there, and there might be something to that can be monetized. There may be some knowledge there that you could share with somebody who would actually benefit. So don't just describe, when you're doing the exercise, don't just describe yourself, and do describe yourself. Of course, don't just sit there describing other people. Describe yourself, because you know your problems more intimately than anybody else. Think about the different relationships, the relationships with bosses and with children, with employees and colleagues and friends and parents and so on. Think of all the different kind of relationships. How do the various problems that you identified, how are they affected, those relationships? So there's so many questions in here that'll help you pull up, and you don't have to put your answers under that particular question. This is your brand plan, okay? I mean, I did when I did the exercise originally, and when I described the exercise, I did tell you to just put them under the questions, but that is actually a more effective way, because it's yours, it's your document. Structure it how you want. You don't have to keep this particular question structure. Just keep the questions for triggering more ideas, and just make a long list of all the needs as you go through them. And you'll find that there's so many things that you will come up with. So when you get to the unique benefits part, that's where you're kind of now starting to think about, what could I possibly, not a product, but what kind of things could I possibly sell to this market? What solutions could I possibly give to this market? And knowing what it is they're already looking for, knowing what pains they have and how they're looking for their problem, and how then you're going to do that, turn the corner. If you guys looked at the email I did about the customer, the video as well, the customer is an idiot. Basically, this is where the customer is looking for something, but then you're coming along and saying, no, don't look for that. Or rather, I know you're looking for this, but here's the actual solution to your problem. It's something else, different from what you were thinking. And then the reason to believe, which ends up being the next exercise, the reason to believe is a process by which you hope to deliver, to fulfill on those promises that you make. And then finally, when you write that positioning statement, it's just it's basically a paragraph. And this thing is just going to give you direction. It's general enough that you can add on whatever kind of product you want. It's general enough that it doesn't have to be, oh my God, this one specific audience, but it forces you to give them a category, to give that audience and their needs a category. Pick what is the most prominent thing that ends up being an issue for them. Who are they? What is the best descriptor to summarize who this set of people are? And then of course how you aim to help them. Again, it's forcing you to just coming up with that positioning statement. That's what it does. It forces you to choose the most important, the most prominent thing in each of the categories and put that into your statement. And then when you have the statement, now that you went to the most prominent, it allows you now to generalize from there and say, hey, I can, this is my general direction forward, right? And I can introduce all kinds of products. I can relate to the audience in different ways. And obviously not everybody has all the same problems, and so on and so forth. And so this is the best way to handle that exercise of the Module 1 brand plan. It's probably like I said, the biggest problem is people approach it wrongly. They don't do the number one is that they come in already with a product in mind. Number two, they are trying to figure out what they're going to sell rather than, like I said, that's an exercise in the 4th month. You don't need to worry about what you're selling right now. So both issues relate to what am I selling? That's Module 4. You're working on Module 1. This is where you plan out your audience. And number 3, the third issue is that they don't spend enough time doing the exercises. They don't dig deep enough. You got to dig deep. If you're not digging deep, dude, I would suggest If you're not digging deep, find a partner in this group or somebody else from your life who cares about you, and sit down with them and do the exercise together. All right, have them ask the questions, and you write down, or go the other way around. You have them write down while you think. But do it. Find a way to do it. Having a partner on board is great. Having somebody else to help you do the exercise would be really good, especially if it's somebody who is who already understands how to do it. Who already sort of has a similar understanding to you. So, like I said, find somebody in the group. This is what we're here for. Find someone in the group. Ask somebody else to join forces with you. Get on a Zoom call. Get on a Skype or whatever, and do it. Help each other out. It's really important. Dig deep. Like I said, just to give you an idea, my brand plan for the Super Traffic Machine, I think I might have shared it even with you guys, is 22 pages long. Okay, I don't know how long yours are. I definitely didn't. I think I could have done way more in this, but even my needs section, the audience needs, which is the most important part of it, is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 pages, almost 10 pages of bullets. Okay. And I built my entire sales page from this. My entire sales presentation was built from this particular list. Okay. So it's a super important exercise. The more you put on it, the more you brainstorm, the better. All right. I guess the other topics I wanted to talk about, won't have time on this video, so I'm going to make a new video and I'll share that with you guys. So until the next video, take care.